Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Luis Mendez. I hope you guys are all well on this fantastic Sunday morning, a Sunday morning that finds the Addicks sitting in the top six in League One after yesterday's 2-0 win over Stevenage at the Valley. Joining me to look back at yesterday lunchtime's victory. First up top right, Miss Sue Gallop. How you doing, Sue?
I am still buzzing off my nut. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Yeah, it's different from raging off our nuts, which you were doing earlier on in the season, of course. What a long time ago that feels like now. Also, bottom of the screen, in his celebratory yellow away shirt, is Mr. Tom Walling. How you doing, Tom?
It's back. It's back. Yeah, very good. Very good. Nice, comfortable win, wasn't it? Just all feels very routine at the moment, which is nice.
We're just absolutely steamrolling our way into the championship, and we're making it look very, very easy all of a sudden. It's incredible the turnaround we've seen at the Valley over the last few months. On today's show, then, we'll hear the goals from yesterday's game against Stevenage. We're going to hear from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones, and of course we'll hear from one of the goal scorers yesterday, Luke Berry. Got the Addicks second goal. He came to speak to me in the press room after yesterday's game. We might see the graph as well if you guys fancy a little bit of graph action. I'm sure you do. Joining us, of course, as well, everyone in the chat. Good morning to everybody. First one in there, Sam says, morning, everyone. Another solid performance and massive 3 points ahead of our game on Tuesday. Feels great to see us in the playoffs. Yeah, let's know your thoughts on yesterday. Spam's in there. All Hell Let Loose is in there. Gary. General's in there. Robert, Paul, let us know your thoughts, Michael, John, on yesterday's 3 points. What a difference does it make to be in the top six psychologically as well? How does that feel for you? It certainly feels very good for me to be above the line on the graph. Not to give away any spoilers, but we are above the the top six line on the graph for the first time since September. It feels a very good. Let us know your thoughts. Email studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can add a live comment in the chat. So just before we hear the goals, took a while to get going. I mean, there was a tactical little bit of nous there from Ashley Maynard-Brewer to break his leg about half an hour in. But, I mean, the physios we've got down at Charlton, I mean, even when our players are getting horrifically injured, like Ashley was yesterday, they're getting back up on their feet within a few minutes' time, and one tactical tweak later, and all of a sudden we look good again. And then we go on to, I mean, Nathan Jones said best second half I think he's seen since he's been at the club.
Yeah, it's that magic sponge, isn't it? Everyone brings back the magic sponge. Oh, it's honestly, like, I think even the first half, it was as up until that point where we had our awful injury to Ashley. I think, like, we still looked in control of it. There wasn't a lot happening, but I didn't feel like we was under any pressure. I mean, Ash made that great, unbelievable save later on. I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong, but I think we just looked so confident and calm. And I mean, there was a couple of incidents where sort of like the back line didn't seem to be communicating to each other, and they were both, two of them going for headers, but it was just, I think it is, out of all the games I've seen this season, that feels like the most comfortable. And even when, I mean, I don't even know I know you probably have the stats going along the bottom at some point, but just like we just had so much control over the ball, and even when we weren't in possession, we just looked solid and comfortable. So yeah, definitely one of the best games I've seen this season in terms of how we played. That is particularly that second half.
Yeah, and we need to also add in the fact that don't forget this is a Stevenage side on actually a pretty good run of form. They've won their last 3 in League One, and I thought they started quite well, Stevenage, and made it very difficult for us. But we'll talk more about that after the goals. Let's hear Charlton TV. Poor old Terry doesn't get a look in on this because both the goals were on Greg's watch. So the commentary is from Steve Brown and from Greg Stubley.
Touch to the ball, so play will continue as Gillespie up to Godden. That's a lovely flick to release Campbell on the left-hand side. Tyrese Campbell up against Freeman, holds him up for the time being. Campbell looks for a runner inside. Berry lays it off for Coventry. Coventry, low cross in towards Godden at the near post. And it's a great Charlton goal. Coventry continued his run in the penalty area. Low cross towards the near post. And there he was again, Matty Godden. The fox in the box to give Charlton the lead.
Yeah. And it all started with the Matty Godden flick round the corner on the halfway line. Exceptional bit of skill. He nips in front of his marker, outside of the right boot to Campbell. And Campbell does what he does best, which is driving backlines towards their own goal line. The surprise in that move is Coventry breaking from midfield, breaking to the byline and whipping that ball across the near post. And Matty Godden does what Matty does so often, losing a marker inside the penalty area.
Forward, Godden the target. Good flick from Godden in towards Tyrese Campbell, and it's hit the post. Berry's there, and Charlton take a 2-goal cushion through Matt. It was Luke Berry with the finish in the end. Tyrese Campbell with the initial shot that came off the post, and Berry was on hand to react, and Charlton make it 2.
It's an extraordinary passage of play, actually. It's a long ball up that Godden wins. It's a magnificent flick on. The shot from Campbell is a brilliant strike. It cannons off the bar at pace, and Berry has made that look very, very simple, when it in fact was an extremely difficult bit of technical ability to wrap your left boot round it and guide it back to an open net. But yeah, I mean, it is a basic goal, but excellent position from Campbell, super strike, thunders off. Yeah, he's made that look really simple, like he's just going to get a pint of milk. It's a great finish.
There we go. The goals from Charlton TV yesterday. 2 very different goals, but 2 very good goals in their own way. That first half an hour, then Tom. Let's get that out of the way because it was strange, wasn't it? Like every time we were on the ball in our half, it felt really congested. And the more you think about it, you thought, oh, actually, that's what Stevenage do. They bring players forward and they were sort of making it really tight to play. And we kept giving the ball away. So clearly something had to happen. And, you know, it goes without saying that Ashley Maynard-Brewer wasn't injured. He sat down. It's not the first time it's happened over the last few weeks. We weren't the first club to do it, but we do it quite a lot now. But, you know, if everyone's doing it, then you've got to take advantage of that. And Nathan's just had a word with them and calmed them down. And then for the rest of that first half, we were more ourselves. And the goal came just before the break. But it's good to be able to see that in-game management, because I think there's been bosses we've had over the years that haven't been able to do that very well. But Nathan saw something was wrong, tweaked it and fixed it.
Yeah, I thought that... It sounds silly now based on the quality of the second half, but I thought in that first half an hour, I was worried. I can't remember, Sue, whether you said you felt like we were in control. Maybe you didn't. But yeah, I didn't really feel like that. I was a bit nervous. And obviously the only real chance they had was the one-on-one where Ash made that amazing save. I don't think they had too much else that tested him. But their press was putting us under pressure and we were sloppy. And Kane, Josh... a lot of the players at the back were making silly mistakes, were rushing things. And it was the first time in a while where we've had a team that press us like that and we haven't really been able to cope. I feel like recently that hasn't been an issue for us. And yeah, as soon as Ash went down, I started laughing. And if it had been any other team doing it to us, I would have been fuming because it was so obvious. But as you say, if you can't beat them, you join them and you do it. And it's up to the authorities to sort the fact that can happen out. And I don't know how they get around that. But ignoring all of that, as you say, Nathan Jones took the opportunity, and that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to necessarily change anything, because Stevenage are still pressing you hard. But I was with my mate yesterday, and we were chatting about the game, and I just said it sounds like he always says, we just need to do the basics better, because that's what we were doing wrong. And as you say, as soon as he calmed them down and they were like, okay, forget that you've suddenly got a Stevenage player a yard away from you whenever you get the ball. Treat it like they're 2, 3, 4 yards away from you, like their players normally are. And they just were so much calmer on the ball. So yeah, it was clever play. It was good from Ash intuition to do that, because we needed a bit of a few minutes just as a team to settle down and work out what was going wrong. And after that, I have to say, we were pretty untouchable. Really, they couldn't lay a glove on us, could they? And this is a team that are not a million miles behind us in the league, that beat us at their place, as I say, that press high, hard to beat, and we made it look very, very easy in that second half.
Yeah, we certainly did. I mean, the first goal, obviously, the timing of it's always going to be crucial just before half time. I saw someone on social media yesterday likened it to the sort of goals we were scoring quite a bit under Bow in that promotion season, like the one-touch football, intricate football, not a million miles off Purrington's goal in the Wembley playoff final. The way we were touching it around the box, obviously, it looks completely different. But you've got the touch from Doc in there. You've got, I think Godden was involved in the build-up as well. Tyrese Campbell, of course, and then Coventry making a run forward. As Brownie says, I don't think you see that often from Coventry, but he got in there, and then old Sniffer Dog had absolutely no right to score from there, because the keeper should have had it covered at the near post. But that's what you do when you're Matty Godden. You find a way to poke that ball in at the near side. It's 3 goals in 3 games for Matty. I think 12 for the season now in all comps, 9 in the league. I mean, those 3 goals over the last 3 weeks are from an overall distance of about a metre out. I mean, it's all tap-ins, but that you want a striker who can score those tap-ins, because again, we've gone seasons without having one like that. So that was such an impressive goal, and obviously timing really helped as well, Sue.
Yeah, but as soon as that went in, we was like, that's a Matty goal all day long. Like, that is a typical Matty Godden goal, and I love seeing how well he's been playing, because obviously he went through a period where he was on the bench and then coming on, and I think we like you've already said, we were crying out for a player like that for such a long time, and again, like, I'm reading the comments and it's like, Alfie May, who's that? I know we shouldn't bang on about him anymore, but I feel like now we've got into our stride and we're showing what we're about. We're not missing those people that we were so heartbroken about like 3-4 months ago. And I'm just so chuffed for Matty as well. Like, he's such a lovely guy. He's like down to earth. I think he's such a hard worker. Like you say, he was the one that started that goal off in the first place. So for him to get that final ball and score that goal, he's the ultimate poacher, and he's got that vision, I think, because he's that much older than a lot of the other lads. He's got the vision to be in those places at the right time. So yeah, I'm all for Matty Godden. I love him.
Yeah, and another part of his game which we've seen a lot more in this spell in the side, Tom, because I think people will remember at the start of the season we're saying, yeah, he's getting goals, but what else is he doing? What else is he bringing? But I've really noticed his link-up play over the last 3 games. Like, I thought at Blackpool he was bringing others into play quite well, but I mean yesterday was like unbelievable at that. He was doing it so often. I asked Nathan about it. I said, has he been working on it? So he's been working on it his whole career, but I feel like we hadn't seen it as much until this spell in the side. I think that's a fair point. And I mean, yesterday it was top quality from Matty Godden yesterday.
That performance from him yesterday was possibly above and beyond any performance Alfie May put in last year. And I don't like the fact that comparison is there, but it has to be, because Alfie May was our best goal scorer last year and went, and Godden came in as his replacement, if you like, although he's a different player. But what he offers to the team in a game like yesterday, Alfie doesn't do that. Yes, he presses. Yes, he runs. And yes, he's a brilliant player. And I'd still love to have him. But it was so impressive. And look, him and Gas obviously came in at a similar time. They're obviously very different players, but both took time to settle. You know, Gas is still struggling, obviously, and Godden has now we're seeing the player that we've signed. And we said it a lot during that first part of the season. We know what he's capable of. You look at what he's done in Coventry in recent years. He's capable of scoring goals, and he's a complete striker. I think it's taken a while for Nathan to figure out, and we had this debate a little bit on Thursday, the best way to play with this team and who fits in where and how they link up. And when you've got Doherty and Berry and Godden all new, and then you've got Leeburn, who's been out for a long time, you've got TC, who's young, that's a lot of different dynamic players who all do different things, who all haven't really played together. So it's natural it's going to take time to click. I still don't know. You asked me the question on Thursday. I still don't know whether that early part of the season was down to Godden not doing enough, or I'm not playing through the midfield enough, or whatever. But I don't really care anymore, because now it's working, and that's all that matters. And he was scoring goals, let's not forget. In the early part of that season, he was still getting 6 or 7 goals, and they're all similar-ish to the sorts of goals he's scoring now. But he's just much more involved in the build-up now as well. And when you've got that, as you say, it's very, very difficult for teams to know what to do, because you've got him running one way and moving around. You've got Berry, who I thought looked very, very good. It'll be really interesting to see now with Gilbert sort of hunting his place down, what he does and whether he steps up. You've got Tyrese, and you know what he's capable of. There's so much movement up front now. And actually, you look at when Leeburn comes on, and I felt Leeburn was harsh to be dropped, but needed a rest. But now he's looking and probably thinking, how do I get back in this team? Unless somebody has a drop-off in form, because the movement that we've got up there at the moment is just unreal. So everyone seems to be hitting form at the right time. It's good that we've got options off the bench, because there will be games where a Miles Leeburn is actually needed instead. If we need his height and we need his power and we need his hold-up play, then maybe he will come in and do his job as well. So the ability to rotate up there, again, we spoke about it a bit on Thursday about how many numbers we've got in those front positions, and maybe we had a few too many, but to have all those options to rotate, only going to serve us well this back end of the season. So yeah, I'm absolutely delighted for him. He's the player that I think we thought we'd signed. And yes, it's taken a little while, but look, if we get promoted and it turns out that the first few games of the season weren't his best, we're not going to care, are we? Because at the moment he's doing it.
Yeah, comments absolutely flying in at the moment, so I'm going to struggle to get to all of them. But John's saying Godden so much more than a poacher, and like we've seen that over the last few weeks. You know, it's been great to watch, and of course involved in the second goal yesterday, shortly after half time. It was a chip ball forward, and Godden won his flick on. TC, I mean, he smacked it against the bar. I've actually watched it back from a different angle this morning and slowed it right down. The keeper's made an unbelievable save on that. He's tipped it onto the crossbar. I've watched it 2 or 3 times. He's tipped it onto the bar, fingertips. It's a brilliant save. And again, you'll hear in the interview that Nathan feels I don't give Berry enough credit for the finish, because I said, and he followed it in as you'd hope your midfielder to do. But actually, when you watch it back, the left-footed controlled volley is, I don't think I picked it up on at the time how good technically that was, Sue, because to keep that down is incredibly, it's a skill in itself. Again, like how many midfielders we had over the course of the year who could score the types of goals we've seen from Luke Berry this season. So I'm thinking about the 2 he scored at Barnsley, particularly the first one. And obviously the one he scored yesterday, as sort of like really technically difficult goals, and he's made it look like, as Brownie said, like he was just nipping down the shops for a pint of milk.
Yeah, I think at the time as well, it was like, oh, he's literally got an open goal because the keeper was so far forward. But again, same as you, watching it back, you're like, oh my God. Like I've love Luke Berry. I've always been a fan. Like when he was at Luton, he was one of them players. Like, I wish we could have someone like that in our team. And I think, yeah, obviously he's coming towards the end, like latter part of his career, but you're still getting a good sort of 60, 70 minutes out of him. And we need that experience. We need that ability that he brings to the side. And he only scores worldies, effectively. So, but no, I think, like you say, again, both the goals were team goals. Like the build up and everything. It's just lovely to see how this team has just finally gelled, and you see the spirit in the squad, like the celebrations after the goals, and it's like they're all in it together. And I think Nathan's created that mentality. But yeah, I again, going back to that goal, it's just, I think effectively, if we watch it again, it's probably going to be up there for goal of the season from our lads. So it's, yeah, I think he's great. I love Luke.
Yeah, it's one. Like I say, it's one of those technical finishes that they make it a lot easier. I mean, I think I banged on a little bit last week about when Sonny Carey hit that volley for Blackpool that went over the bar, but it was an unbelievable strike, like on the run, and Berry's sort of done one even better yesterday because he's been able to keep it down. I mean, yeah, we go on to win at a canter, I'd suggest, Tom. Like, we could have had more. I think a lot of people in the chat are talking about maybe obviously Thierry Small's chance where Godden was open, but you know, we know what Thierry is. I think I think he's very exciting on the ball, and it's just decision making a little bit, which he'll have to sharpen up with. But how many times do I need to remind everyone he's 20? Like, because he's like such a muscular player, he looks a bit older than he is, and he speaks very like sort of maturely as well. But you know, that will come, and what we haven't had again at times this season is someone who can run with the ball like that, and he's added such a difference to that side. So I'm not massively concerned about that. What I am enjoying again is another clean sheet. You know, I live for clean sheets. It's my favourite part of the game, because I'm really boring, but another really, you know, one where other than that save in the first half, which was brilliant, and we should talk about from Ash, like we weren't troubled because we kept them at bay, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and of course I would have liked more goals. There was a lot of crossover, I thought, with the Bristol game the other week. I think we were much more dominant in the second half in this game, whereas I think I said I was a bit bored in the second half of that game, although I was pleased to be bored because it meant Bristol weren't touching us. But look at all those stats scrolling along the bottom at the moment in terms of the touches inside the box, the shots on target. We just they never got anywhere near us in the second half. And unlike that Bristol game where Chucks comes on and just seemed to be just shooting for himself and maybe there were better choices, yesterday, even when Thierry had those shots, okay, they didn't go in, but it was kind of, we were making the right decisions in the final third. We just weren't scoring the third or the fourth goals. Nathan obviously didn't even bother to make a substitution till right at the end of the game. What does that tell you about the consistency in the side and about how comfortable he feels with it all? It was just such a comprehensive performance. It's the sort of performance that if you were looking at another side doing that, you'd be like, oh, that's the sort of performance of a team that's clearly going to be up and around those playoff places by the end of the season, because it's just a mid-table team come to town, you roll them over pretty comfortably, and you go home with a clean sheet. Like, we weren't doing that at the start of the season. We've talked so many times about fine margins, even up until very, very recently, really. It's only really the Bristol game and this game where I think we've scored more than the goal, apart from the odd game like Northampton, which was a bit of a strange one. But now this looks like it could be the norm. And of course, we're still going to have wobbles. There's going to be tough games. We know Birmingham away next weekend is going to be a very, very different game. But we're now going there thinking, okay, I think if we were to beat Peterborough on Tuesday night, we both go there in confidence, thinking we might get something. But also, if we do lose to Birmingham, okay, fine. In this run, in the grand scheme of things, losing those 3 points is not the end of the world because we've got all those other points. So, yeah, it's really encouraging. There's still an awful long way to go, and obviously we've only just got that first date with missed playoffs and got in there. So there's a long way to go, but we're in there now, and technically it's our place to lose now. So yeah, it's great, and that momentum just keeps going. Right, we've talked about that a long time over the past few weeks, but that just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And my mate who I was with the other day or yesterday said the way that team get together at the end of the game and all go round the ground together, you don't get promoted unless you've got a team that is built on that sort of unity. So yeah, that collective momentum now is huge, and we've just got to feed off it for as long as we can.
Yeah, you may remember a few weeks ago when I said, right, next 5 games, 4 of which are at home. We had 2, and then we went to Blackpool, and now we've got these 2. So we're 4 out of the 5 in. And I said we've got to get 10 points from those games. Well, we've already got 10 points with a game to spare. So effectively, we could lose Tuesday, and I'd be delighted still. But that momentum is there, and let's keep piling on these points when we've got these home games, when we've got these games that you should win, and then you go to Birmingham and the pressure's off. And to be fair, the pressure's on Birmingham a bit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but we beat them at our place. They're an excellent team at this level. They did a really good showing for League One yesterday against Newcastle, but So are we, and I weren't saying that earlier this season, but we are looking an excellent team now, and it's, as James said, have I just joined the Real Madrid podcast? This is basically the English Real Madrid you're watching at the moment, James. Drink it in. Nathan mentioned about the subs in his interview yesterday as well. So you'll remember this time last week, there's a couple of comments saying, did Nathan make his subs a little bit too early, and did that sort of halt the momentum a little bit? Well, Nathan references that in his interview, which we'll hear in a few seconds. Says I learned from that, and that's a sign of a manager who's got some humility about him, that he knows that if he makes a mistake, he'll need to try and find a way to fix it, and he didn't screw around with the momentum yesterday, and that's exactly what we needed.
Yeah, I think, like we discussed, obviously we've done the show with you last Sunday, and I said, like, we have made early substitutions before and it's worked. So you can't always criticise him for some of them decision makings. But I think as a manager, he is very quick to come out and say, actually, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done that differently. He has got, I think early on in the season, people were chucking the arrogant tag around for him. And actually he's not. He's got the confidence in his ability, which is very different to arrogance, but he's also got the mindset to be able to learn from mistakes, which is what he's instilling that into the squad at the moment. So if they make a mistake, learn by it, improve. What can you do differently? What can you do better? And he's doing that every day as a manager. So I think I'm just so chuffed now that he's doing what I knew he would do in terms of being a manager. You do need to give a manager and a new squad time and patience, and that is now showing. And I think the crowd yesterday was unreal. Like, getting behind those balls, like the boys, it does carry them over the line, and it does help. And you can see how they feed off that. They're gesturing towards the north stands, like, come on, like, we've got that connection back. And I saw earlier, like, it is similar to the team we had under Bow in that respect. We feel like we're in it together, and we haven't had that for a long time.
So I missed this yesterday, but I think Joe put it in our little chat. So apparently when the fans were dishing out the Olays, Nathan was screaming at them to stop. Did you see that, Tom?
I did, yeah. It was very, very funny. I was trying to work out what he was trying to say by it, and I guess he was trying to say, well, yeah, to be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't know, because I don't think he's saying, I don't want my players knocking it around. I think basically he's saying, let's not be too cocky here. Or maybe it's just him being absolutely mental, like we know he is. But yeah, it really made me laugh because he was properly angry at the covered end, properly just going like this, like properly trying to make him stop. But it was funny. It was funny. And to be fair, the fans did stop and then immediately called for him to wave and sang Nathan Jones' Red Army. So goes back to that unity point. But yeah, I don't know if anyone asked him about it after the game, but it was very strange.
I wish I'd seen it. I might have asked him if I'd seen it, but we had a pretty long interview yesterday anyway, because there was lots of stuff to talk about. I just want to touch on a couple of players that we ain't mentioned much since. I mean, again, I just want to reiterate that Ashley Maynard-Brewer's save in the first half was incredible. I don't think we've said that out loud yet, but that was a really, really good save, and I'm really pleased for Ash. I think he's doing well. As Massey said, he's kept us in it with that one. It was great goalkeeping. But yeah, I don't think we've massively mentioned Connor Coventry's performance yesterday, Sue. Considering I think he won man of the match, I think we ought to make a bit more about that. I mean, that was Connor. I think again, if we are comparing to former players, I think all hell let loose said, he's starting to show that he is the Dobson replacement in the chat earlier on. Very different players, but yeah, not bad yesterday, was it?
I think, and I commented to my friend yesterday that was sitting next to, that Connor, similar to Josh Edwards, just go about their business quietly. So you almost forget about how good they are because they just get on with it and do their jobs. So and then like yesterday, I was really making a conscious effort to really watch him. And I'm going to be controversial now. I think he's better than Dobson. In how he plays, he's a very different type of player, And I think he is showing now that he can be a leader. He is a leader. He did win man of the match in the lounges. You're right. I think Matty got it from the fans, but yeah. And again, you like he does things off the ball as well as on the ball that you kind of then like you're watching him and you're thinking like he is quite vocal. He is like, I think when you're looking at that sort of team, you need a team of captains. Like we all talk about how important the captain role is, but he is another leader, and I think he's just growing and growing, and I think that's coming with the confidence that he's doing so much better than he was earlier in the season and last season. That then he is getting better because he's got the confidence to be able to just do what he does and what he did so well before he came to us. So I think we're definitely seeing the fruits of the player that we thought he was going to be. He's coming into his own now. I love him.
Lovely stuff. Right. Still loads more to chat about, but I think we should hear the interview with the Alex boss, Nathan Jones, after yesterday's 2-0 win against Stevenage. Home win and into the top six. What did you make of
that? Look, we needed our goalkeeper for one instance in the first half, but then apart from that, I thought we were outstanding. I thought we were brilliant. Second half, I thought was the best performance I've and under myself. Most complete performance, and against a side that's really dangerous and in really good form and is well coached. I thought we were really good today.
Yeah, I mean, he made that great save, didn't he, Ashley? But there was also, it seemed to be a catalyst when he got injured that you were able to make some changes to the side, and that seemed to be what kicked on in the rest of the first half.
Yeah, thankfully he wasn't injured too bad. But look, we just needed a reset. We've worked all week on certain things. Stevenage are very dangerous. They've a narrow front four that when you turn the ball over, they go at you. So it was important, one, that we didn't do anything stupid because we were flicking balls inside and trying to hit big diagonals across the pitch that weren't on, and then giving them opportunities. So we said, look, can we just settle down? It is epitomised in Thierry's flick when he had no one around him and stuff. You just think, just calm down. We're in good form, we're good players. And we did. And after that, I thought everyone was outstanding. Our decision making, our quality, the way that we managed the game, the way that we moved it, how we nullified a very dangerous side, and then the chances we created. I thought we were complete today.
Yeah, Matty Godden again, 3-3 for him, and another one from within the 6-yard box. He can do that every week, it seems.
Well, it's the movement. It's not like it's the movement, the awareness, and then bang, you still got to finish it. He's that sharp in terms of what he does. But I thought his all-round performance was outstanding today. He's 5'9", 5'10". The amount of headers he wins, the amount of effect he has on two giants and two very, very good centre halves who like to be dominant. I thought he was brilliant, and then coupled with everything we had around it, I thought we were good. I'm very pleased with that performance today.
Has Matty been working on his link-up? I feel like we've seen more of it in this second spell he's had in the side.
He's been working on his link-up play for probably 18 years. Matty Godden's a top frontman. As questioned, we talk about Alfie May and things like that, and Alfie was brilliant for us, but Matty Godden's got some pedigree, and I felt at times that was disrespectful to Matty Godden. Matty Godden scored at everywhere he's been. He's got promoted. He's played in the Championship constantly in terms of stuff. The guy's a class act, and today it's as good as centre forward as good as centre forward link man and performance as you've seen it for a while. I mean, he had everything today. He had the goal. Should have scored more. Thierry could have slid him in. It would have been more. But the way he pressed, the way he worked, the way he led the line against two considerably bigger centre halves, it's a top centre forward performance for me today.
And a great flick on as well for the second goal. Tyrese unlucky with the strike, but Luke Berry did what the midfielder is supposed to, and he followed it in.
Well, that's some finish. I think you're being a bit flippant with, not flippant, that's the wrong word, but a bit. I'm giving him credit, enough credit there. That's some finish. That's world class, that finish. If, as I said in the press in there, if Bernardo Silva does that, or Mo Salah, or Szoboszlai, or whatever it is, they think, wow, what the control on the move, technique, wrong foot, and to do that, that's world class.
Do you think some of the uplift that Charlton have had over the last few weeks has been the fact that Berry and Doherty have really grown into their roles in the side?
Look, I think it's a constant work. I mean, what we kept preaching early on is we signed 9 players. We came from 18th in League One to a big overhaul of players, and then sometimes that takes time. You know, Rome weren't built in the day is the cliche, but neither was a top Charlton team. You know, so we've had to be patient. We've had to demand from them and keep going, and so on. And these are good players. Doherty's a good player. He's played at championship level. He barely played scoring goals in the Premier League last year. You know, so the fact that he wants to come to Charlton shows that we're doing something really well here. And he's a class act. And, I mean, to be fair, the top level performances today, you know, from both of those, Godden and thing. But you look throughout it, like centre halves were dominant. Macca was ill. Macca hadn't trained. He'd been ill. The level of performance he put in today, phenomenal. Kane Ramsey, both my wide ones looked a threat. I mean, to be fair, if we'd had a little bit more composure, there would be more. And I haven't been disrespectful. There should have been more, you know. We've got in situations without really that end product. And then, you know, but the way we saw the game out, it was a real professional performance.
Yeah, and the consistency going forward over the last few weeks, I think, should be noted as well. I think it's only Orient that scored more than Charlton had done in the last 10, which was a stat I think might have gone under the radar.
Maybe, you know, I don't, you know, you guys are stats and one win here, or, you know, when we're one win now in 10 or 11, when, you know, you've reminded me of those things. So it's nice to know positive stats. But for us, it's about, as I keep saying, it's a 46-game season. You can't get too high after 3 games when you've got 9 points and everyone's like dancing around. You can't then, when you have a poor performance against Crawley or Bristol Rovers away, you can't then suddenly be so negative that it affects everything. You have to, as a manager, you have to have an equilibrium of your decision making, of your mood, of everything, and then you've got to believe in what you do. And if you believe in what you do and hammer it home, eventually, if it is good work, it comes to fruition. And we're seeing, you know, a little bit of a sprouts of that fruition now.
It does leave you in the top 6 after today. Obviously, still a long way to go, but it's not a bad place to be in ahead of Tuesday's home game again.
Look, I'd rather be top 6 than 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, anything. You know, it's a thing. But we're not finished yet. You know, we've still got 17 games to go. We've got a kind of a game in hand, or that effectively is our game in hand if people don't play. So it's a long, long way to go, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to be some twists and turns, and I'm sure I don't want us to have a dip, but whatever happens, we're showing that we are a consistent outfit, and that's a really good thing, because we're keeping, you know, 13th clean sheet in the league, is that? So 16th all in all. Again, got to compare with last year. 5 clean sheets in the league last year, and that's a full season when I was in as well. So we've improving stuff, you know, constantly. Now we're becoming a little bit more fluid, a little bit more fluent in terms of how we do stuff, but still a long way to go.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live on your Sunday morning. Just before the breaks there, we heard from the Addicts boss, Nathan Jones, who, as Rustle says there, he can't forget that bad patch we went through, can he? Or the fact that I pointed it out at the time. But, you know, that's, you know, he's put it right since then, which obviously he'd be pleased with. Jason says we could win at Wembley in May and Nathan would still remind Louis of the 1 in 9. Hilarious. Well, yeah, it happened and it's gone now, but he's clearly using that as some sort of motivation. So I'll take a little bit of credit for the turnaround we've had since then. Yeah, James says he uses stats when he wants and has a pop at Louis when he does. There we go. So stats are only allowed when they're positive, unfortunately. What did you make of Nathan's interview overall, Tom? Obviously speaking about, I think the subs was quite interesting. Rome wasn't built in the day, and neither was a good Charlton Athletic side, was a great quote as well.
Yeah, I didn't realise that was the full quote. There must have been a lot of Charlton fans back in the however many thousands of years ago that was. But Yeah, it's similar to what we said on Thursday, really. He just is very, very relaxed again, and comfortable with what he's doing, comfortable with what the players are doing, not letting up, of course. And we saw that in his antics on the touchline, but just, yeah, very confident in his own ability, which, as we said, when we were in that bad run, that comes across badly, right? And he looks stupid, and those quotes that he says and the stuff that we find funny now is really annoying. But when it's working, it's all great. So it's a difficult line when you're that sort of manager, because he's so passionate and he does wear his heart on his sleeve and he's so emotionally invested in it all. And that's brilliant. 99% of the time, it's brilliant. It's just when you're on a bad run, it's very difficult, like you say, picking apart those stats when he did. But yeah, so long as we get promoted, I don't care. And at the moment, he's clearly, as you say, fueling that club and fueling himself and the players in the right way. Whatever he's doing to motivate them, whether it is reminding them of the stats, whether it is himself acknowledging that there have been bad times earlier in the season, whatever it is, he's just, comfortable in what they're doing now. And I think at this stage in the season, the relentlessness he's got and the fact that he is not going to let people drop off, like a lot of people were saying, he was chasing Tyrese down the touchline at one point in that second half. Like he's not bringing subs on at 88 minutes when we're 2-0 up and those players have played every game for the last 6-8 weeks. Like he's working them to the bone to get promoted, and fair play, because at the moment it's working. And I hope we don't go through a bad patch between now and the end of the season. But if we do, it'll be interesting to see how he reacts from that. And if we were to get promoted and be in a tougher league, it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. But I'm just trying to focus a bit like he does, game by game at the moment, and just enjoy the moment, because the way he's got those players kind of zoned into what they're doing at the moment is brilliant.
Well, let's enjoy this moment as well. Let's have a quick look at the graph. As you see, for the first time since September now, we are above the points per game line for top six. So I've got it down to 74.4 as the average for top six. I think that's over about 11 seasons now. We're currently on course for 74.6. And someone else pointed out yesterday, I think we're pretty much safe from relegation now, statistically, like on average. So that's quite a nice place to be in as well. But yeah, it's looking great. Again, I always point out, I think the outcomes table, which is the amount of results we need to get between now and the end of the season to get that 75, which is roughly what we're looking at. It's looking healthier again. So from 17 games left, if we win 8, draw 4 and lose 5, and the form we're on at the moment, that feels very, very possible now. Or win 7, draw 7, lose only 3. Again, we're not losing many games at the moment. We've lost 8 out of 29 so far. So, we'd have to slow it down a little bit. But we're in a very, very healthy position. And yeah, look, let's not get carried away. Yesterday Orient didn't play, which I think psychologically might help us as well. Again, fair play to them. The way they handled City yesterday, by the sounds of it, was excellent, and I'm glad they had a good day. But I'm hoping that absolutely halts their momentum now, and they put so much effort into that game that they just give up for the rest of the season. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. It's going to be a fascinating end of this campaign, Sue. I mean, at this point, going into yesterday, there were 4 teams on 44 points. So there's probably a reasonable assumption that it's going to go quite close to the wire. Obviously, things can play out differently over the course of the season. But, if we want to get in that playoffs, we have to keep this consistency going. We've given ourselves a little bit of wriggle room in that we don't have to be quite as consistent as perhaps 4 games ago we might have had to be. But we are going to have to stay at a very good level between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, and again, I'd be interested to see if you can do a graph for finishing second, because I'm seeing quite a few comments. Is it possible we can get second? I think obviously mathematically it is. It'll be tough because obviously everyone in and around that area will be fighting for those automatic places. But yeah, I think we've just got to do our thing. Like I've said it a few times lately. It's like, in some ways, people are not really noticing us. We've very similar to Bo's season. We're creeping up slowly and quietly, doing our job, not making a big thing of it. Let's just carry on that way, because I think at the minute, if I'm honest, no one was expecting us to go on this run that we've gone on. And I think all the time that you're in that situation, it's a positive for us because people don't expect us to play the way we do. They're probably noticing now, but I think we've just gone about it in our way, quietly, calmly. Let's just do that, because again, our biggest successes in the playoffs have come when people haven't expected that from us. So yeah, I've got another graph up.
Yeah, so I've added the second place line to the graph just because it's obviously been asked for. So average for second place is 90 points. We're currently looking at about 75 points. So we would have to continue an extremely good run of form. I haven't checked what this season's looking like in terms of Wickham and Birmingham, but they seem to have quite a lot of points. So I imagine that average might even be too low. Like I'm the reason I haven't added the second place to the graph yet is because we're not in that ballpark anywhere near yet. If things change, then I'll be happy to. I don't even have a line for first. James asking. I think we're getting a bit carried away if we're thinking about second. I'm only worrying about sixth place at this moment in time, maybe fifth. You know, let's see where we go in a few weeks' time. You know, bear in mind that 2 months ago I was only worrying about the green line, so let's not worry too much about second. But I mean, it's a real, like, let's concentrate on sixth for now, and then if we get anywhere else, let's get carried away then. Right, let's have a look at a couple of the comments that have come in. Yeah, people saying, you know, second's going to be quite difficult. Mike saying third. There we go. Mike Salmon's written off first. He says Birmingham have 2 games in hand, which is of course the only reason we're not going to get first. John, right? So John, Birmingham fans, very kindly done the maths for us. He says so Birmingham look at 109 points. Which is a bit too much. I think that's being greedy, John. But yeah, 93 for Wickham and currently 85 for Wrexham. So again, these things all change. But I mean, that's anyone getting carried away about second. Let's calm down a little bit until we get a lot of points on the board. Yeah, Paul's talking about Nathan. Said I think Nathan realised having a little pop back at the fans when things were a bit iffy wasn't the way to go, and he's been keen to get all on board again. Now, so maybe he's sort of noticed, like I say, waving at the fans and that sort of stuff yesterday. A couple of emails as well. Gary says, hi folks, good solid performance yesterday, especially second half. Got to continue it against a poor Peterborough side. Good to see some of the floodlights working again, some still out there. Yeah, I did notice some on the Kirbishley stand. Some of them have been fixed. There were still a few out, but they've obviously found some bulbs from somewhere. So that's good news. And McSquared says, most dominant performance of the season, and no doubt for several seasons, especially given Stevenage's recent form. Other than the opening few minutes, they didn't really put us under any pressure, and in fact, they didn't. The fact they didn't manage one shot on target the entire game speaks for itself. Not only was it thoroughly deserved, but the scoreline actually flattered Stevenage. There were several outstanding performances, but Lloyd Jones is already well on way to achieving Colossus status. Nathan was spot on when he said the second half performance was the best 45 since he arrived. Hopefully that's the shape of things to come. Ending up in the top 6 at the finish of the day was the icing on the cake. Now we have to make sure that we stay there. Right, we certainly do. Let's hear from one of the goal scorers yesterday. We've still got to look ahead to the Peterborough game as well, of course, which is coming up on Tuesday. But Luke Berry came to have a quick chat with myself after yesterday's 2-0 win.
Against Stevenage, how did you see the game today?
Really, a real positive performance. We first half we were giving it a good go, but we just needed to calm down and just settle in the final third and make our opportunities. In second half, we really did that. We settled down and we played some really good stuff. Probably some of the best stuff we've played this season at home. And it could have been 3-4-5 in the end, but we're just really happy with how we played.
Yeah, what was said in that little huddle when Ash got injured around the half-hour mark, because that seemed to be what really kicked Charlton into life.
Just calm down. We're such a young and eager group that we just want to keep run, frantic. But sometimes just calm down, play our stuff, and we did. And in the end, Matty, lovely little finish front post, what he does, and we just that sort of settled us down. And then second half, we kicked on.
Because you had to deal with what Stevenage played like as well. Obviously, they made themselves very difficult to play for in that first half an hour.
Yeah, they're in real good form with us, and there's a few others who are in good form. And we knew that. We knew if we took our foot off the pedal and thought this is a win today, it's not like that. We had to earn that, and we did.
Yeah, obviously, you mentioned Matty's goal. You got your one just after half time. I mean, great awareness to you were the only one who looked like you were going to chase the rebound coming off TC's shot there.
Yeah. TC's got a lovely strike on him, so I always think if he's if he's going to shoot, keeper might parry it or it might hit the post, and luckily it went straight to me and just stuck it in.
Yeah, I think that's your 5th league goal, 6th of the season so far. Have you been pleased with your return so far?
It's okay. I've had chances where I could have been double figures now, really, but always want to do more. So hopefully I can get a few more.
Obviously, the run of form that the club are on is remarkable now. Got them into the top 6 as well. You feel that momentum in the side at the moment?
For sure, we've got a young group. A lot of these boys haven't felt that here for a while, so it's good to be positive. But the main thing is just stay grounded, and we need to win the next game. That's how we need to approach it.
Yeah, because it's going to be a real roller coaster between now and the end of the season. 4 points on the same points going into today's game. It's going to be interesting.
For sure, we've done nothing yet. We just need to keep believing. We've got Peterborough next game. See if we can get 3 points there. And then Birmingham, and then we'll just approach every single game that we feel like we can win. That's the good thing about this group, that there's no fear there, that we feel like every single team we come up against we can beat.
There might have been times earlier on in the seasons where fans couldn't see this turnaround coming. What would you think has sort of been the catalyst to this good form? In-house, we've always thought it. It's just at times we're quite an honest group. We might take things literal at times, where the gaffer might want this and this, and then in the end we're just doing that all the time. But it's never been that. It's always been play what you see, play, and you can see it now. There's patterns out there with the confidence, how we're playing, especially second half. We're playing through lines. We're positive. We're front footed, and that's how the gaffers always wanted us to play. But when you're a player, sometimes you need to feel it in a game. There was one Northampton game where we really sort of clicked for a lot of the boys, where this is it, this is how we should be playing. And since then, I feel like we've shown that. Yeah, and on your own performances as well, do you feel like you've grown as the team has grown, and perhaps changed a slight playing style and to get you more into the game over the course of the season?
I've had to adapt a little bit. I'm a bit of a box to boxy team, so it's like TC as well. We've had to work with each other. It takes time sometimes to learn who you're playing with as well. I was at Luton for a long time. I was used to who I was playing with in bits and bobs. So I've had to learn what people's strengths are, and that's a lot of my game, working off other people. So it's taken a bit of time.
There we go. That's Luke Berry speaking to myself after yesterday's 2-0 win against Stevenage at the Valley. Just to reiterate, as someone pointed out in the chat, he was very nonchalant about his finish. He says, just stuck it in. Spamford just stuck it in. But it was a very good finish when you watch it back.
Yeah, again, how often in the past have we seen opportunities like that, and it's getting skied into the North Upper? So I think, again, you can't sort of, for him, I guess, in the type of professional he is, he does downplay that goal from yesterday, but it's probably things he was doing for fun up at Luton. So it's just good to see him getting those rewards from his hard work that he does during each game. I feel like he's so consistent. So yeah, it's great to see. Great to see.
Yeah, I asked Nathan earlier about the uptick in form for both Doherty and Berry being important. Because again, I think I mentioned this on Thursday after the Orient game in the EFL Trophy. I actually had to question, what have those two players done enough for you? What do you think has changed, Tom? Is it the change in style that sees us playing more through the midfield that's helped them show what they're about, or have they upped their game? What do you think?
I think it's both, and I think it's a third thing is the time. As Berry said, Luke Berry's an experienced footballer, right? So if he's been somewhere a long time and has a style of play that's pretty ingrained in him, it might take him a while just to be like, okay, this is all a little bit different, and I've got to figure this out. As I say, that's a whole new midfield. Doherty, Berry and Coventry haven't been playing together. So it's going to take some time. And I think I'd have to go back and listen, obviously, but I don't remember at any point in the early part of this season us saying that they weren't putting the effort in. We were probably saying things like they're running around a lot, but not getting anywhere near the ball. And that speaks to exactly what Berry's saying there, that they're just not in the right places at the right times. There has been that definite shift in playing style, again, that we spoke about on Thursday, that allows the ball to go through them more. But also, I just think they're all in the right places, and in the right places to where the other players are as well. So they're not all bunched at any point, or they're not too spread around. You kind of look, and there is a balance across that midfield now. And the goals that were being scored early on in the season from distance were often because teams were playing straight through that midfield, getting to the edge of the box with no midfielder around them. Don't feel like that happens now. Like Sue was saying earlier, Coventry is usually there to kind of snaffle those chances up. Doc is getting back. They're just in the right places a lot of the time now. And I think that's down to them. Basically, it's down to them and Jones and work on the training pitch and a little bit of time. Because, as I say, I don't think any of us were criticising their effort in the first part of the season. It was just, it wasn't working. And now it is. And as the chat's going on about next weekend with the Birmingham fan, as a couple of our people have said, we're a different side to who we were back then. And I think that has just taken time to build now. I think he's settled on a formation, obviously. He's settled on an 11 that he's playing week in, week out. But also they all just feel like they know how each other play a little bit more. And that has just taken us a little while.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying just keeping an eye on the chat between the Birmingham fan and our fans. Really, really good conversation there. John, if you're about on Thursday, drop us a message. Maybe you can come on and tell us a bit more about Birmingham ahead of Saturday's game. But we do have a game to get out of the way on Tuesday. Although that's not the right phrase. We have a game to try and win on Tuesday, Sue, against Peterborough. Peterborough have always been a good side at this level until this season, it seems. It just hasn't worked for them. Their away form is absolutely shocking as well. So they've lost 9 of their last 11 in League One, drawing the other 2. So 11 games without a win on the road. We're very strong at home. We've only lost 2 at home all season. I mean, it's going to be fascinating to see how we manage to lose this one, isn't it?
You know what? I hate it when you bring out stats like that because it's always like don't say things like that because, as we know, that sometimes comes back to bite us on the bottom. But I feel like, and I saw it in the chat, I feel really confident about Tuesday, and I think we've got the potential to give them an absolute hiding. So if we play like we did yesterday, second half, we're going to thump them. Like they're not going to know what's hit them. But I think, again, as we know, when we play teams that are not as good and are lower down in the league, we sometimes drop to their level. And I think what we've got to remember is yesterday, this is how we play. This is us. This is our identity. Let's not get too sort of confident or cocky or get carried away with it because, again, they're fighting to stay in the league. They're just above the relegation zone, and they're sometimes the tougher games. So yeah, I think we just got to, if we play like we did yesterday, no problems at all. But we've got to, I think, mentally make sure that we don't think, oh, they're 20th, they're not going to be a problem. They haven't won for however long. Let's just treat it like another game, like we're going to go into next Saturday, like knowing we've got to play the game of our lives. Do it Tuesday as well.
Yeah, exactly. We can't focus too much on Saturday, and I can see that being the temptation because it is such a big game, and obviously, a big club to go and visit. But yeah, Peterborough just 4 points above the relegation zone. I mean, they did win at home against Wigan a couple of weeks ago, and they won last time out against Charlton in the EFL Trophy. They didn't play yesterday. Whoever they were due to play must have still been in the FA Cup. It might have been Birmingham for all we know. But yeah, can't focus too much on them. Tom, thinking about us. We're the home team. We're the team that's got to set the stall out and get the game played in the way that we want to see it played. Team news is always a big question going into a game when it's a Saturday, Tuesday, because you got to try and manage fitness and all that sort of stuff. But Nathan hasn't been changing the side much. It'll be interesting to see if there's anything he feels he has to do ahead of Tuesday. I mean, there's no one off the top of my head. There was no everyone played almost 90 minutes yesterday. The subs weren't until the last few minutes, so. Maybe Berry for Gilbert if he was feeling it, playing that long. Maybe as Lee Byrne or someone like that, we're going to replace Godden. Can't see it. I'm not sure there's going to be many changes Tuesday.
I think so long as Jones focuses on the one game at a time, I would, exactly that. That's why I was a bit surprised he didn't make the changes earlier. And obviously we heard what he had to say about that. But look, if you are looking at both of the next 2 games, realistically, at home to Peterborough and away to Birmingham, you're expecting 3 points from one and you're expecting no points from the other. I don't think it's negative to say that. So if that is the case, you have to play your strongest 11 in that first game. And okay, if they are still fit enough to then go again next Saturday against Birmingham, great. But if it means we have to rotate at Birmingham and take the hit and take the loss, if we've got the 3 points on Tuesday, I don't care. There's no point rotating on Tuesday, slipping up against Peterborough, and then suddenly it's like, oh no, what do we do? And we maybe now need a result at Birmingham. You just can't think like that. So provided the 11 are fit, I think you just chuck them all back in. If we go 2-3-0 up by half time, like Sue's suggested, maybe we could do, and I absolutely agree. If we're like that second half, we could then make 5 changes at half time. Bring, people like Alex Mitchell, Alex Gilbert, McIntyre, Leeburn. They're not bad players. So I think we're at a place now where you can rotate and not necessarily drop off the quality too much, and then rest some of your players for Saturday and have a good go again next weekend. Because I'm not writing next Saturday off completely. I just think you've got to prioritise the next game, and this Tuesday game is the one to focus on now. If we get 3 points there, and if players are fit, then we go and have a real good go. I think, as you said earlier, it's a bit of a free hit at Birmingham, and we might get some in there as well. There's nothing to say we won't. So game at a time, and I think it's just a case of seeing who's fit. But I don't think change it unless you have to.
Yeah, we've got some big games coming up. I'm just looking. So Tuesday, Peterborough, Birmingham following. We've got Exeter. Then we've got Orient, Barnsley, Stockport. 3 teams in and around it, aren't they? Obviously, we've got the rearranged game at Crawley. There's some massive games coming up over the next few weeks. And, what a great time to be in really, really good form. Let's hope that can continue. Right, we're going to call it there, I think. Really enjoyed today's show, as I always do. When we win another game. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us live on YouTube this morning. Don't forget to check out our merch store, charltonlive.etsy.com, if you want to buy a Charlton Live mug. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you never miss another show. Subscribe to our podcast as well on Acast and Apple Pods and everywhere where you see it. So it's always downloaded automatically to your phone twice a week. Right, thank you, Sue and Tom. Been an absolute pleasure as always.
Cheers, both.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's been brilliant today.
It certainly has. Right, lovely stuff. So this has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. I'm Louis Mendes. We'll be back on Thursday, where we'll look back at the game against Peterborough and ahead to next Saturday's trip to Birmingham. We shall see you then.